Okay, hi Kara. This is Josh, and I'm just here with your Behringer X Touch and your Behringer XR18 stage box, and I'm just going to show you how to get it going and some general things about how to use it. So here's the stage box. I've got it all plugged in to this power strip over here. You want to make sure that you have your Cat 5 cable or Cat 6, could be that as well, plugged into this remote port where it says remote Ethernet right there. I tried plugging it into this Ultranet, that doesn't work. That's going to be for monitoring if you ever decide to go that route. So again, so the Cat 5 is going to be plugged into this Ethernet. And then this little switch here, where it says Wi-Fi client, access point, or Ethernet, you're going to have that slider all the way over to the left where it's clearly chosen on Ethernet there. So make sure that's all the way to the left. And then you can see that this Cat 5 goes all the way into the back of your Behringer X Touch. And if you'll notice, it goes into the port that's also labeled Ethernet remote on the back. Sorry, that's upside down. And if you'll notice, I don't have anything else plugged into the back at this point, just that power cable and the Ethernet. So at that point, I'm going to turn on your stage box, which is what we call the XR18. And the power switch is on the back. So you'll notice that power light comes on right there. And then also to note, this on the Ethernet cable itself, you don't see any lights there. You'll see that change once we turn on the mixer. So then I'll go over here and hit the power switch on the back to turn on the Behringer. You'll see that it gives you a couple of notes there. This thing lights up. And then if you go over, you'll notice that there now is some activity on that port, which is what you would hope to see. So you want to make sure that there's some activity indicated by that flashing light right there. Or it could be an on solid amber light. Okay, then we go over here and you'll notice that there's an IP address associated with this gear. Don't worry too much about that at this point, but do look over here where it says scan. You'll notice it says no link right here. We have to let the mixer see the stage box. So for scan, we're just going to hit that rotary button right here, and then you'll notice that it starts scanning. And now, boom, all of a sudden we have channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got some faders that have moved up. You can move fader banks so you can see that there are other channels available. So I'll get deeper in detail in just a second on all that. Okay, so now that we have the mixer on, I've plugged a standard SM58 into the mixer. Or sorry, into the stage box. You can see I plugged it into input 1 right here on the stage box. This is my 58. And over here, we've got channel 1. Now, you'll notice if I adjust the rotary here, you see this little dial moving, but it's not really doing anything. I mean, what you're really adjusting is the gain, as you would expect. But in order to get to the gain menu, we have to go over here to track under this encoder assign. So go to track and you'll notice that all these are going to change. Now you'll see it's got everything at -12 across the board. You can go, to do that, you hit this fader bank over here, left or right. When I hit the fader bank left, it's going to go 1 through 8. When I go fader bank right, it goes 9 through 16. And if I hit it again to the right, you can see now I've got an aux, I've got my returns listed, I've got 6 buses that I can send to, and I've got a main. And also over here, I do have a main fader, so I'm going to want to bring that up. You'll notice that that main fader also went up with it. Those are controlled. I'm sure there is a way to assign this main to one of these other faders if you want to, but I would just leave it as your main fader. So you can control your speaker volume that way. Again, if I hit fader bank to the right, you can see that I've got FX 1, 2, 3, 4. some DCA groups if you choose to do that. And then I'll go all the way back to that first layer of inputs. Okay, so again, I've got the microphone plugged in, and I've got the output from the main, left, right. I'm just using the left right now, just as an example, but you would plug your monitors, your front of house monitors into that main left, right. Right now I've got it going into this little amp right here. And that's turned down to 0 to give you the idea that it's a passive monitor that you're sending signal to. So, okay, so anyway, your main is plugged in. I've got the main volume turned up here, and now I'm just going to slowly start to bring this fader up to 0, to unity. And then we'll see if I've got any signal here on the 58. Check, 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 1, 2. I'm not hearing anything, not hearing anything at all yet. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself some gain on that channel. Check, 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 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, 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 1, 2. Now this is a 58, so it's probably going to use a lot of gain. Check, 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 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, 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 1, 2, 1, 2. Now I'm starting to hear myself. Check, check. Check, 1, 2. Okay, so, and you can also see that there is now signal on that little channel strip right there. Check, 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 1, 2. Okay, so that's your gain. That takes care of your gain. You can also adjust your pan. Let me put this mic down. So over here, pan, you have to select pan underneath encoder assign. And incidentally, in order to choose a channel, you have to hit that select in order to change any parameters over here. So if I wanted to adjust the panning on this instrument, I would have to select the select button until it turns green, and then come over here, choose pan, and notice what happens to these rotary dials when I do that. Okay, now they change, so now they show you a left-right signal, and then if I want to pan this all the way to the right, that's what I'm doing. So that's panned all the way to the right. If you want to send something just to that right main speaker, you can do that way. I'm going to center it again. So again, if I wanted to pan my microphone that's plugged in, I would hit that select button and then go back to pan. Also, if I go to EQ, if I want to bring in some EQ, again, I've selected this channel, and now it gives me an EQ layer. You see those have changed into EQ. So it's kind of a limited EQ, I'll admit, but this shows you, it's got 2 pages of EQ, so I can flip that to the right, and now it's showing my second page of EQ. So this is a high pass filter. This is your low roll off, and it's at 189 Hertz. It depends on what you're usually doing. I would tend to roll most things off around 130 Hertz or so, just because you don't want to get a lot of that low rumble into things that can really make your mix pretty muddy. So you can, again, change that however much you want to on anything. This is kind of your low mids right here. I think it's set at 124.7. I don't know how to change that. But this is showing you how much plus or minus you are on that frequency. I also don't know what the Q band is for these, but it is what it is. So here's 124.7 Hertz. I can cut that all the way down. Hear what that sounds like. It sounds kind of tinny now, and if I bring it back in, go the other way, I'll boost it. Check, check, check. Now it sounds real thick than that 125 Hertz range. So I'll bring it back to 0, just to have a nice little calibrated. And you can see the other frequency ranges here. You got a 500 Hertz, you can do up or down, 2K up or down, and 10K up or down. So it's, again, kind of a limited EQ, but it is what it is. Okay, so page 2, again, oops, change that to the right to change to page 2. This is showing, I'm not sure, PEQ. That may be your Q shape, so like the notch shape of the individual EQ that you're using. That's probably what it is. So the higher the number, the sharper the shelf around that Q point. So if you really want to notch something, like say you've got like your 2K that's really giving you some trouble, back to that first page, my 2K is right here. So I'm going to bring that down. And then if I change the page again, I can take that all the way to 10. And that kind of shows you, I guess, this is like a sharp notch. Whereas if I turn it all the way out, the lower number is the wider the shape of the bell curve on the EQ. So, so this would be if you're trying to get out some of those pesky like 2K check, 1, 2, check. You can get that out that way. And this is a high shelf. So again, if we went back to that EQ1 parameter, your 10K is your high shelf. So if you wanted to boost everything above 10K, that's what you'd be doing with that, because it doesn't have a bell shape. Okay, and then we can go to send right here. Send is going to be your kind of effects parameters, or I'm sorry, send is going to be for your monitors. So I know you have that little monitor for your vocalists. So let's say you want to send, this is maybe the vocalist 1 microphone, and they need a little bit of feed, a little bit of their feed in their monitor. If you have your monitor, your fold back plugged into aux1, this would be going to that little hotspot speaker that's up on that stand for the vocalists. In order to get signal routed to that, you need to take this bus 1 and turn that up. So again, I can test that by unplugging my mains and plugging it into the aux right here to simulate that monitor now. So now if I talk into this, you're not going to hear anything coming out, even though you hear signal here and the main volume is up. You're not going to hear anything because that bus is turned down, and that's what I've got it plugged into. So if I then go to my monitor, again, this isn't the overall volume of the monitor. This is the send volume from this microphone. Okay, so if I wanted to bring that up, check. I'm starting to hear it. Again, I got to bring it up a little bit more. Check. Now I can hear it in that bus 1. Again, remember, bus 1 equals aux 1, etc. So that's why you've got 6 buses and 6 auxes right there. Okay. Okay, and the last parameter that I want to talk to you about here is plugin. So if you go to this encoder assign, go to plugin. This is where you have your effects. So your reverbs, your delays. Again, it's kind of a limited kind of stuff that you're dealing with. But this is what you have, FX 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll go through each of those. But before you go to that, you want to make sure that you're sending it, or you have an FX return. This is your FX send for each individual channel. So to go to that main return, again, we're going to go to global view, and then I'm going to go back down here to fader banks, and I'm going to advance that to the right until I see the return. Is it the return? No, it's the FX. Okay. So I'm going to hit that all the way, fader bank again, all the way to the right until I get to FX 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, now those are up at 0. So that should be good. That means your returns are at 0. So you should be hearing those in the signal path once we start to send. So, okay, now we will go back to our plugin under encoder assign, select channel 1, and this is FX1, so it's showing you FX1, FX2, FX3, FX4 main, so you can kind of see what you're sending it to there. You can also scroll through the channels here, so channel 1, channel 2. You can easily go through each of your channels and send FX to them really easily. Again, if you go into that plugin mode and then just kind of scroll through. So I'm going to go back to that channel 1, and then I'm going to just try some of these effects here. So let's take this FX1 and crank that all the way up to 0, thereabouts, and let's hear how that sounds. Check, 1, 2. Okay, so that's kind of a long reverb, maybe a hall reverb or a plate reverb. It kind of sounds like a plate reverb to me. Check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Obviously, probably that's a little too much, but if you just want a taste of that, bring that down a little bit. Check, check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. And it's barely there. It's a little dry, but you can certainly hear that kind of tail. Okay, now we'll go to FX2. I'm going to mute that so we don't hear that FX1 anymore. We'll take that FX2 just to kind of see what this is. I think this is a hall. Check, 1, 2. Yep, that's definitely a hall reverb. Sort of a longer reverb, so maybe good for vocals if you back it down a little bit. Again, you use your reverbs and effects however you want to. I turn that all the way down to -16 right there. And you can hear a taste of it again. So I'm going to mute that. Check, 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 1, 2. Actually, I'm going to bring those all the way down. Check, check, check. And then we're going to try FX3. Check, 1, 2. That's a delay. You can hear that. Hey, hey, 1, 2. There's a nice delay there. I'll bring that all the way out. And then this FX4, I'm not 100% sure what this one does. I was playing with it earlier, and I'm not really... Check, check, 1, 2. I'm not really sure. I don't hear anything, any difference in that. So maybe this is something that you can just kind of route externally. An external effects send of some sort. So instrument, I'm not sure what that does. Insert, sorry, it's not instrument, it's insert. So yeah, this is good for, this is where your compressors are, your gates. This is a noise gate. You see, again, you've got 1 of 3, so that means there's 3 pages. Your noise gate right here, you can adjust your threshold. Your mode, it can be a ducker, it can be a gate, it can be an expander. I'll keep that a gate probably. And you can select your range, your attack, your hold, your release, all the things you would expect to see from a gate. And then a compressor, here's your compressor for each individual channel. Again, I'm selected to channel 1. You can adjust your threshold, your ratio, your makeup gain, your attack, your hold, and your release. And then you can go through and select which channel you're working with. So instead of backing up to that main global view and going channel by channel, you can just select your channel this way. So, okay, so that is insert. Okay. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you here, and again, there's a lot of things on this board that I don't know that you're necessarily going to want to use it for. You can go, all these function buttons do different things. You can see this little panel up here changes above F1. That changes actually this is an important thing to note. So this function F1, you can see what your reverb parameters are. So this shows 1 of 3. This is your room reverb. Is that what that means? I'm not 100% sure. I don't know what VRM stands for, but anyway, so this is showing you your reverb delay, your decay time, size of the room, density, early reflection level, your level. Again, this is 3 pages, so low multiplier, high multiplier, low cut, high cut, early reflection left, early reflection right, and freeze. So you can do a lot of different things with your parameters here under these F1, F2. Again, same thing. This is your, okay, so that tells you that your second one is a hall, as we suspected it's a hall. So that was a room reverb. Number 1 is a room, 2 is a hall. So here's your parameters again for that. F3, that's going to give you your modification. This is your delay. So your delay time, you can change that. Delay speed, reverb type small, decay, dampening, balance, all that stuff. Again, there's 3 different pages of those things that you can change. And here's F4, so we can take a look. DIMC. You know, I really don't know what that means. So we can, maybe there's a manual or something that shows that, but okay, so that's that. I'm gonna go back to this global view. So the other thing I really wanted to show you is, in case you have a phantom powered microphone, this was kind of a bugaboo for me. It took me a long time to figure out how to get phantom power on this board because there's not an obvious way. It's not on the stage box, it's not on the mixer. There's no button here that says phantom power that you can assign to any of these things. So how do you get phantom power? I've got this phantom powered mic plugged in to slot 2. Check, check, check. I'm not hearing anything as I would expect. So what you have to do, I'll go back into track mode here. And of course, as you know, with phantom powered mics, if you don't, check, 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 1, 2. If you don't give them phantom power, even if you crank up the gain, you're not going to hear anything. So I'm going to bring that all the way back down to -12. And the way to get phantom power on a particular channel, again, you select the channel that you're trying to apply phantom power to, and then you have to select, hold down the rotary button right here, hold it in, and then hit this record button. Now you see that P, that means it's now got phantom power. So again, I'm going to turn it off by holding down the rotary and hitting the record button, and now phantom is turned off. And you have to be in this track mode. You can't be in this global view. If I try to do it here, nothing happens, okay? If I go back to track mode, again, here we go. I gotta hold it down, then hit the record button underneath that channel, and you can see that the P shows up. So now I will turn up the gain and test the microphone. I saw a little level there, but I need to gain it up a little bit more. Check, check, check. Check, 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 1, 2, 1, 2. I can hear it coming through there. Check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Although it's very quiet. So I'm going to, sounds like it's panned or something. No, it's not panned. EQ, let's see my send. I'm sending it to a bus. Check, 1, 2. And maybe it's just a matter of the gain not being enough. I'm trying not to push it too much. I'm gonna turn that effects down because I've got some effects on there. I got some compression happening. Check, 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 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, let me go back, give it some more gain. Check, check, check. I'm just afraid it's gonna start feeding back since it is a condenser mic. Check, 1, 2. There we go. Now I'm hearing it coming through loud and clear. So that's how you get your phantom power happening. So again, there's my phantom mic. And here's my direct mic, my Shure 58. Okay, and then when your gig's over, one other thing I should mention is your headphones. If you want to plug your headphones in, you can do that here. Turn your headphone volume up right there. Also, if you have any line inputs, you can put those there and those will come up on the board. Probably right here where it says aux. That's your aux in 7 and 8. But hopefully you have DIs or something that you can plug in. Also, you've got, these are multi inputs, so you can plug in your XLR and your 1/4 inch in the same port. And yeah, again, all these other things, transport functions. This is, if you're using this as a control surface for mixing in Pro Tools or some kind of a DAW, digital audio workstation, you can use this to mix in. So in that case, you'd be using play, stop, your transport functions, all of that stuff here. This is just the basics, really. So when you're ready, turning things off, I would always bring down all your faders, bring down that main fader, of course, fader banks, check all the fader banks, turn off phantom power where applicable, turn everything down, nice to zero the board out. Yeah, and then I would turn off your monitors, which I'll do right now. Then I would turn off my mixer and then the stage box. So just going in the opposite order. Everything's turned off and you can strike.